Hey guys, me like Big Boom here, showing you guys all of the Hawaii vehicles, every single one, land, water, and air, all of them that were added in the Hawaii update, as well as the update that immediately followed that added 3 more on top of those. In today's update, we're going to be individually driving each and every single one of these, showing the top speed, as well as showing which ones are bulletproof and which ones are not. To start, we're going to check out all of the land vehicles which I've parked in and around the hangar here on the Alika military base. I think I'm going to go from left to right. I think that's a good way of handling it. Then we'll head over to the air vehicles there, and then the water vehicles over in front of that ship repair bay. To start, we have the desert truck here, which is an interesting addition. It's a 2-seater, yet it has so much space in the back for extra stuff. It almost looks like a Humvee at first glance, except it's like a rusty color. I really don't know much of its purpose. I think it's more of just a civilian-looking car. I haven't actually seen if this is... No, it's bulletproof. Wow. I have just realized this. So yes, this is a bulletproof yet civilian-looking Jeep sort of Humvee-looking thing with 2 seats. In the back there, looks like it'd be quite useful to put maybe 1 or 2 lockers inside so that this would be a pretty solid scavenging vehicle here. But unfortunately only 2 seats. The top speed is 65 kilometers an hour. I actually found another one of those and I parked it over there. I found it spawning right where this Coast Guard truck is. So if you're looking for one of them, it can spawn right here. Next up is this orange Dune Buggy. This is a very unique vehicle that was added in the Hawaii update. That's pretty cool. Its advantage is that it's relatively quick and just looks cool. Its disadvantage is that it has a very low fuel capacity. In just this, we're down to 88, 87%, 86% fuel. Just look at it. It goes down so fast, and its health is very, very low. After hitting one little light post, we're down to 84. And then after hitting this one, 68, 52. Now this is the red sports car, kind of the same situation. It comes in multiple colors, 2-seater, pretty fast, high fuel consumption, and once again, pretty fast speed. This one is actually really fast at a top speed of 80 kilometers an hour, though it is not as fast, I think, as a Roadster or as the Ghost that was added in the Russia update, which is kind of unfortunate because this is specifically called a sports car. It even has a spoiler on the back, and it does appear to be mid-engine. I mean, look at all that space back there. So it does seem to be a pretty cool little sports car, but it isn't all that fast. Other than that, it's really just a cool Hawaii little roadster with an open top so that you can take in the Hawaii sun. Coast Guard truck is one of my favorites. It's basically a Ural, but without the cloth top on the back. And what this allows you to do is very easily place some lockers on the back. Up to 4, even up to 6 if you really are kind of conservative and place them in their own corners. You could easily fit 6 lockers back here and then stack them on top of each other. A ton of lockers in storage that you could fit on the back of this Coast Guard truck. Fantastic vehicle right here. It is not bulletproof though, like the Ural is. So that is kind of a disadvantage that it has over the Ural, but being able to have all that extra space in the back to put those lockers is really useful. Now these 2 fire vehicles here are really interesting. They are new fire vehicles that were added for Hawaii that are yellow in color. I think it might be because Hawaii fire trucks are yellow. We have 2 here. One is a fire tanker, and this has, this got a big water tank on the back that unfortunately can't be used to fill up canteens though. And then this is the fire chief. This isn't actually designed to put out fires. It's more to transport fire people, I guess. I don't really know how the operations of firefighting really work. But this is the fire chief. It has sirens on the back that can be activated by pressing control. This one has 4 seats, and I want to see if it's bulletproof. It is not, so I'd assume that this is the same thing. Yep, not bulletproof. Fire tanker is just going to be a slower version of it. Only 2 seats, except it has a water tank on the back. If that was actually usable, that would make this extremely useful. But as of now, it's just not as good as the fire chief. I mean, it's 5 kilometers an hour slower. Fuel capacity or fuel consumption is about the same. It has less seats and it's slower. So really, take the fire chief if you see it over a fire tanker. Now this is one of my favorites, the armored police truck. It cannot be destroyed. Tires, any of that. Well, it can be destroyed with explosives, obviously, but with regular small arms fire, nothing can phase this. It is an armored police truck. It has 2 seats up front, and then you can actually go in the back look at the amount of seats back here. We have 4 in total back here, and then 2 up here. That's 6 in total. That is phenomenal. Much carrying 6 people in this SWAT van, rolling up to Keemstar's house. Top speed isn't that great. I mean, 60 kilometers an hour, but being able to hold that many people in an armored vehicle, it's basically on the same caliber of an APC, really. Except it has actually good visibility, unlike the APC. Next up, we have the Coast Guard Jeep. Bulletproof, wow. Wow, that is amazing. I'm not sure if that's intentional, actually. This does appear to be just a reskinned Humvee. No, it's a reskinned of the desert truck here, which is bulletproof as well. Yeah, so, I mean, considering that the other Coast Guard vehicles are not bulletproof, but this one is, the Coast Guard Jeep, that's up there. This is really good. Dang. It is only 2 seats, unfortunately. But once again, you can fill that back end there with lockers. So if you see them both, it's really up to you as to which one you'd like to keep. Personally, I think I'd keep this desert truck because it's not as bright. I mean, this is white and red. It's obviously designed to be eye-catching. Now over here is a Scrounger. This is a really unique vehicle that I love a lot. It is only a 1-seater, and it does have a pretty slow top speed of 60. Wow, that's a lot more than I expected it to. Alright, so it's not terrible in regards to top speed. And its fuel consumption is pretty bad, down to 96%. But there's something so cool about this little slot back here to where you could perfectly fit a locker inside and scrounge around, just like what it says. It's a Scrounger here. And then the huge ticket item about this is that I like to call it the mini APC because it's amphibious. Into the water straight you go. Oh no, just a prank, bro. It floats. Regardless, it being on the water is pretty useful for bringing me over to the water section to where we can check out all of the new water vehicles that were added to Hawaii. As you can see, there are a lot of them. Pretty fantastic to see, especially considering that Hawaii does have a lot of water in it, so it is pretty useful to have some water vehicles. We're going to start with some of the smaller boats here. Here we have the Skipper. This is just a dinghy, except it's got a 50 caliber machine gun on the front. This does have 2 seats, one for the driver and one for the gunner, as simple as can be. It takes HMG boxes, which is the same ammo that the Hind takes. And look at that. Simple as can be. And I believe these are explosive rounds as well. Now the War Machine is the Skipper on steroids. It has more seats and bigger guns. That's really all you need now. So there's a driver here, then there's a gunner here, and then there's a passenger for F3. That's all there is, but the gunner here is extremely lucky because what this gunboat is it's a tank. It's a tank for the water. Shoots the same exact ammunition that a tank uses. Look at that. And there it goes. Awesome, awesome stuff. Yes, it uses missiles. This thing is extremely armored. It has a ton of health. It can only be blown up using explosives. I mean, what more could you ask for? This is amazing. Moving on to something more tame, but similar in size, we have the fishing boat here, which has more seats and less guns. I do wish it had more fishing things on it, but it does definitely look like a signature fishing boat here. You have the spotlight out in the front that's useful for if it's nighttime. You have all these extra seats on the side. You have the exhaust ports in the back. It does look like a fishing boat. That's undeniably true. Though if you want to actually go fishing, you kind of can't. You're gonna have to put a ladder on the side, which I might be able to do here. Let me try. Active. You gotta put the ladder there, climb up, and then you could fish off this, which is pretty useful. But yeah, it should come naturally with a ladder on it. I think that'd be pretty cool, but otherwise, yeah, that's the only way that you could really fish on it, but for the most part, it's just a pretty useful boat transport for 4 people. So that's the Skipper right here, and this is the slightly better version of it, the Commander. Now this shoots the same ammo out of its gun, the HMG box, but the advantage that this has over the Skipper is that it has an extra seat, a passenger seat right here. The top speed of this one is 70 kilometers an hour, which is the same as the Skipper, but once again, it's got that advantage of having that extra passenger seat, and I suppose this one has two barrels here, but it really doesn't shoot any faster, it doesn't have any more damage, it's just, yeah. It's still really cool. I think it looks cooler. I mean, look at this. Now the Hovercraft is another super unique vehicle that's been added to Unturned that is also amphibious. It actually is a lot better on land than it is on water. The top speed on water I think is 30 kilometers an hour. Climb up here. And there we go. Now this is how you get moving. Oh, I don't think I have any other way. Good thing it's amphibious. Do-do-do. And onto land we go. Now those are all the strictly water-based vehicles. I mean, I suppose the Hovercraft is amphibious, but now we're moving on to the water landable, but mostly air vehicles. We have the helicopter here and the plane here, both of which have these buoys on the bottom that allow them to land on water. Now in Hawaii, these are the best vehicles. This bouncer is basically a helicopter that can go anywhere. You can fly up in the sky like you normally can. You can fly from place to place, which is extremely useful because it gets you around super fast. But you can land on land or on water, it doesn't matter. You have those buoys on the bottom that can be totally fine landing on land, or it allows you to float on water. So if you really need to stop by an island and you're too afraid about hitting the palm trees on it or something along those lines, just land on the water right next to it and you'll be perfectly fine. Now the seaplane is the right idea. It's also, you can land it wherever you want. Even on land it can steer perfectly fine. It's got some wheels underneath the buoys, but you can also land it on water, obviously, because it's floating. The only disadvantage that I think this one has over using the kind of water helicopter that I was just flying is that it's difficult to find a landing location on land, and that kind of applies to all planes. You can really only land on a landing strip, or you have to search for quite a while to find a perfectly straight area that will not only let you land on it, but also let you take off afterwards. Now the last vehicle we're going to take a look at is the land version of that helicopter. It's just the coaster. It looks a lot like the Orca, Orca military looking helicopter thing, except this one actually has doors on it. They aren't functional, but they are super cool looking. And then this whole thing is of course tricked out in that white and red Coast Guard theme. This one has, I haven't even checked, 4 seats, yeah, so it doesn't have 6 like the Orca, I believe, does. Though it is a helicopter nonetheless, and helicopters are so useful in Unturned, just being able to land wherever you want. This one, though, obviously cannot land on water. Now, the bouncer does not hold as many people. I think the bouncer only holds 1 to 2 people. I might have to check myself. Let me see if I can swoop down low enough to actually see. Let me just make sure, or see, if this thing is bulletproof. Alright, hold up, gotta reload. Nope, it's not. Now this does have a pretty big disadvantage of not being bulletproof though, so if you do find an Orca, which I'm not sure if it spawns on Hawaii, but it very well could be, the Orca, the military version of this, definitely pick that one up, because the Orca is bulletproof, this Coast Guard version is not. So, that does kind of suck. Regardless, those were all the vehicles that were added in Hawaii. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and do all that gibberish, because Me Like Big Boom is out.